This is a very interesting. It just fucked up on me. This is a very good moon picture. So I actually found it on accidentally Bradley Smith's page, and it was actually posted to him to have a look at it. Now, when I analysed it, I thought, wow. So when I look at it, I saw the very dark green areas down there. So I zoomed into those areas. I looked into that, what looks like a tunnel entrance, and you'll see something seems to be going in there. There seems to be like clouds, or that object there just seems to be three-dimensional, superficial on that surface. That very, very large object there as well. That rounded circular object obviously has quite a few lights there. Now I've zoomed into this area here. It seems to be an old type of, let me see if I can increase the size of that. It seems to be an old a building or something like that, because when I zoom in, there's a tower still there and all this lush greenery around there. I see an object which I'll show in the zoom right there. It looked very bizarre. I'll zoom into this area here, which shows like beads going into that a tunnel or hole entrance. And here you'll see two or three look like creatures coming down or whatever. It's so bizarre. And here you'll see really, really beautiful. It's a lush green a jungle down there. It's amazing, and you see these lights that they look artificial. They're in certain spots and they're very small, and they just bright up the whole area. Um, that goes right over that large crater entrance right there. So these are the areas I'll zoom into now. The bizarre thing is when I zoomed into there and used filters, I found tubular objects in there which were actually horizontal, and they looked as though they had a definite pattern to it. That there seemed to be surrounded by like a perfect glass area. It's just perfectly round right there. And when I zoomed in there, you'll see beautiful lush green and brown, and just it's hard to see on this picture, but on high zoom I've actually zoomed in and you see all the beautiful lush colours, um, all those sort of things which you wouldn't see just from that picture, or even if you only larger picture. So when I use the camera enlargement, I'll start to do it now. So when I use the cam enlargement, the, the pictures that I process somehow picks up the light from the computer. I use autofocus and I milk a pixel worth of color. It's the only term I can use. That seems to be floating, and you see the objects around it. So I just use a filter on it, and around it you can see those larger lush green areas. It seems to be right near that hole or tunnel entrance. There's that object that looks like there's a tower there, and it's surrounded by these lush green things look like forests. There's that hole there. There's a sphere there, and there's that object that looks to be floating rather than actually on the surface. And you just see the rods there. It came out of that perfect round tunnel. The objects there look more like tunnels. You'll see those tubular objects, and I've zoomed into that darker area in there, and I've come up with very, very good pictures. So let's go to part 2. So I'll then put it in a photo gallery and apply filters to it. Now you see that square there, it seems to be that's an old structure. You've got all this green lush area starting to grow around it. It's very bizarre. That's that rounded area. I've applied a filter to it and it just shows, seems to be composed of this very bright energy source. There are the beaded objects that appear to come out of that large opening right there, and I'll zoom into those later on. There's that object on top, and it just looks like it's floating on top there. I've zoomed in on it, but it's like a brown, huge mass. It seems to be floating. These objects seem to float more than actually. I can't explain that. I can't explain that concept. So that's the object which I applied filters on in between those two holes, and you'll see that it seems it's got legs on the side because I've zoomed in on that. There's two of them, a small one and a big one. And again, they're close to the tunnels. I've applied filters there as well. And there's some smaller objects on the side, and it's got 1, 2, 3, 4. It's virtually like a scorpion. These are the objects that are coming up, actually are growing right up like huge rods. I'm trying to go into that what looks like a structure with all the lush green trees on it. They have to be trees. They can't be anything else. If you just look at that, it can't be anything else. Okay, I'll quickly show the next series. So this is how I usually quickly just analyze and just throw it onto Facebook. I use the camera enlargement on my phone, screen capture, and I just think, oh wow, I found something. It seems to go out and into that hole, so it's actually right over it. And I just zoom in, and I'm watching TV or just watching a program, and I see someone post something interesting, and my mind won't stop until I analyze it. See all those processes coming off the side on that one? So I have to apply filters to try to clear up the image, and that's what it looks like. You just see like a cloud there. And I'll go now to the pictures. This is that lush green area. It's all green. You literally see the trees coming up or whatever these things are. Now the peculiar part is you've got like these bright balls of light that seem to are lighted up even during night time. It's like they're covertly positioned at certain distances. They seem to be on a rod or something like that, and they just seem to bright up that whole area. Here you'll see what looks like little tiny 1, 2, 3, 4. They got like legs or processes coming off them, and they go 1, 2, 3, 4. I've tried to zoom into there, but that's a tricky one. Here are those things that glow, and you see that coming out of that hole right there. And it goes up on a tube and it glows. Wow. So that whole area is lit up at night time. It's a very lush green jungle. There's that object I was talking about, which I'll zoom in on, and the process goes up and sideways. So I'll quickly go, that process goes right up that green one. It's full of a lush green shrubs, jungle, whatever. It's green as anything. Look at that. Greens, browns, trees, everything are popping up. And what looks like a cloud on top, which is sort of more blue color, and the rod's actually discreetly there. That's a bit more zoom of that object. I think we've gone through this picture, and I think that's the last one. Yeah, that shows that object enlarged I'm talking about. You see it goes up sideways. So when I enlarge it, I start to lose some quality in it. When it's small, you can see it's just like a big object, plenty of arms on it, plenty of processes. It's either a tree or it's a living, moving object. There's that rod that just goes right up, and you see the round tube that takes it right up to there, and these peculiar shapes there next to it. And that shape there, look at that. If you zoom on that, I'll try to process that in the photo gallery. When I go on that large white thing, it looks like an old type of building. I see these vertical processes and those trees everywhere. And the last process I'll do is inside the tunnel entrance. When I download these photos, you'll see in there's some sort of object. Now that's brought it up. When I apply that filter, there's two straight tubes down there. Some are going up and that one goes up sideways. There is something definitely in there. The trick is to bring it up, and there are those things going into that tunnel. The tunnel seems sideways. See what I mean? The objects just, it's all the things I've seen look like tunnels. Now I'll quickly go and look close. There's that object. Now it's telling me I can't edit this. I don't know why. There's the object there coming up. Okay, I can do it now. I'm trying to adjust it. It's not going to work in this one. Sometimes if I press auto it works. Many other times it just destroys the image. So it looks like this is one of those cases I have to revert to the original. If that's the case, then there's that object there that you'll see it come up. There's tubes, very lush greenery around it, and the tubes go right up, and then there's a bright light there. So I've seen a few of these. It's very strange that you've got these bright lights. There's that object, and you'll see the processes come off. It's very dark. So that one was very bizarre because I've seen a few there. It seems that it's a lush jungle, and it seems to be lit up. There's that process coming off it. There's that object there, which you see like towers coming up and trees, greenery, everything. But that looks more square. It's virtually as though it's growing around an old building or tower system or something like that. Now, if I play around with the contrast, I brought these pictures up because when I analyze this photo, it's wow, I haven't ever seen such really green, a lush type of surroundings. So I thought I'll quickly just put it on Facebook. There's that object. So see what I mean? It goes up, turns around, it's got all these processes coming off it, and that's near that structure, that one. Now, some pictures I can, some I can't. I don't know why I can do that. So if I really fiddle around with it, you might see the structures. See what I mean? You see that object coming up and go sideways, and the processes go sideways as well. There's that hole that I'm telling you about, and it seems to be more like a tunnel. I've zoomed in there, and you've got those really weird type of tubes seem to be going in there. It seems the whole surrounding surface is like a sort of cloud with all these tubes in it. And I've seen this on Earth as well. I was taught how to spot these clouds, and they got these tubes and orbs in them as well. See what I mean? Those tube processes crisscrossing everywhere. Now, when I use my camera, I looked right into that area. Now, I'm not sure if I can do it here. If I could, it would be fascinating because I found those tubes in there. No, I can't. So when I do it using my filters on the phone, I can. On here, I can't. There's that beautiful tubular object, and I applied a filter on there to try to bring it up, and it could work on here. So when I zoom into it now, you'll see that tube go right up. There's a few tubes. That whole area looks like a bright light. It looks organic. It's as though the whole, everything on the moon is organic. There's that object coming up. Goes up sideways, and the processes come off it. Okay, so these are the screenshots that I was trying to show, and that's when I apply the highlights to them. You can see that beautiful shape come up. Actually, I'll try to put these in the other display. So when I brought this picture up now from my screen capture, you see how I'm really working that. You see all the tubes coming up. You see that beautiful bright light that appears there. It looks like a natural type of light, and you'll see the tubes coming up. The whole moon looks like and you'll see a very lush greenery. Now there's that object I'm playing with, trying to bring it up. I might be able to do it here. When you bring it up, you'll see that process going up and all these arms coming off it. Now I promised myself not to spend too much time on this, but when you just look at all those things there, it's too much to not quickly spend 10-15 minutes. Just look at the lush green that I've brought up here and the rods coming up that are bright. If I fiddle around with the color and enlarge it, you'll just get to see those beautiful lush trees and everything like that. There's a rod that appears to come out. One appears there as well. And these are very highly lit areas. It's just fascinating how that could happen. And even if you zoom in, you'll see what looks like larger trees or objects there. Like these must be huge, massive objects. There's that object that looks like an old tower or a building, because that comes up like a rectangle, and it's filled up with all that green, lush vegetation. It can't be anything else. So when I bring that up like that, you'll see it all there, and that's the area around there. Beautiful. It's just great. So I'll just fiddle around with that color there and go after highlights, and you'll just see all those nice areas coming up there. Very nice. Now on here, you'll see that object 1, 2, 3 just seem to be coming over like that. And when you zoom in, you just get a glimpse of that. And these objects right down there, you see like it's got 2 or 3 processes, or legs, similar to the other objects. They seem to have like scorpion type of legs to them, or processes. I'm not saying they're animals, but they could be some sort of vegetation that actually looks like that. Now when you zoom in on this one, you'll see the towers coming up there, and here they are again, those little ones. I can't bring them up anymore, but when I zoom in, you'll just get to see. That's a bad image. I've got too much reflection on that one. That's that beautiful round tower, or round whatever, and you'll see like tubes in there and those bright lights around the edges. So during night time, it lights up like a Christmas tree. In there, you'll see the tubular process. It's beautiful. These are beautiful images. That's it there again. I just applied a filter to that one to bring it up. Again, there's that object that appears to go into that tunnel or entrance. It looks like a beaded type of object, and it's a great picture because you could just see the beads on it. 1, 2, 3, and just it seems to be growing over, or it seems to be some sort of housing or whatever. Just I can't tell what that is, but it's just really nice. See what I mean? There is something there. That's obviously not unnatural to be that sort of shape, and that's your sort of color. There it is again. Try to go again. Now here's that object there that has all these side processes coming off it as though it's got legs. Sounds ridiculous, but when I zoomed in on it, these things did come up. Right there, 1, 2, 3, and it's near those big holes or tunnels. One small one, one larger one. I'm not sure what to make out of these things. It's just I'm literally trying to think what it could be. See what I mean? Now, if I adjust the detail, I might get lucky on this. There's not much pixel blur on it. There it is again. Whatever it is, it's just too many side processes coming off it. There it is there, using one other filter. There's that other large object. It just seems to sit there as well. That's brought it up. I have no clue what it is. It's just a massive whatever. There it is there. Seems to sit right on it. Look at that. All those processes on it. Wow. Now, if I adjust the detail, I could get something. So that was all from that dark original picture that you saw. And it's fascinating when you zoom in. You just find all these things and you just keep thinking, what have you found? There's the next picture. And that picture there, it's the same one, but I'm trying to use a contrast on that one as well. I have no clue what it is, but the colours are just spectacular. There's that tunnel entrance, and inside I'll find those tubes that look more like some sort of a building inside. Now, when you look at the objects there, they're tubular as well, those strange tubular shapes. That's a high zoom using a filter as well, so I can bring up those shapes and get a bit of a clearer image of what they look like. There's just all these tubes. Now I've seen in one of there's all these vats of tubes that seem to connect to it. There's objects in the empty vats on the moon's surface. On the other side you'll see this tubular process as well. So it looks like these things are actually grown artificially. That was in one other episode, which I'll do now, and that was surprising when I saw that. Look at that object there, it just seems to come up. They're those vats filmed by Lunar Moon, and I took very good pictures of them. It's like clear as daylight. You've got tubes or pumps that lead into these vats, and you've got these tubular things they're trying to grow. And then you'll see these things. It's like the same tubular type objects. What they are, I don't know. They're beautiful. Lush green. I'll do one more zoom on this one. Beautiful pictures. This one requires some filter. There's that object on the hill, just like a tower system, and it's very mountainous. And you'll see the shapes are everywhere. They're just like lush greens, browns, everything is in there. Fantastic stuff. That's where I applied a filter to get more out of it. Same sort of stuff. It's very hard to picture that this area of the moon as not being full of vegetation and just life forms, and there are those sort of squares, rectangles popping up there. That one was a hard one to bring up. There it is. Here we are again. This has brought up that rectangle, a building type of object right there. That's a good one. Now if I just sharpen that image, that might pop up. This is fun, but I don't want to spend too much time doing this. It's just, you can't help yourself but say what's in there. See that area there? It's that rectangle type shape coming up. There's a rounded sphere, that perfect tunnel that seems to go sideways. And I've seen a few times before objects that seem to go in and out of those tunnels. It's color coded and it shows what looks like that object floating nearby. Look at it. It's like a orb cloud, which we see on Earth. It looks exactly like that. You'll see the rods coming up off it there. It looks to be floating. I can't, it looks to be suspended and looks very close to that entrance. So it could be possibly related to that. That's it. Look at that. Look at those colours coming out of that. To try to work out what that is, I have no idea. But obviously, it's some sort of entity. You can see the tubes coming off it there. That's where I saw that thing right there. Now this is where I might fiddle around and get those colours up and contrast. It just looked like a huge tree. That's it. Perfect. There it is. There it is. It's coming up sideways and it's got like branches or processes coming off it. Right there. There it is again. Here it's darker. If I process it, I might lose the image. See the image right there. So if I press it, I'll see what happens. There it is again. That's really brought it up. There's a big rounded entrance with all the greenery around it, bright lights. One light there looks like it's a tube coming out. There it is there. They look like tubes coming out of the ground. There it is. That's a perfect image. Now you see what I'm talking about. You see a rod shape coming up, and there's that object there. I could sharpen the image a fraction. There it is. You'll see it. There it is there. There's a tube off it. It's bright white, and then there's like a stand or a platform there. Can't do any. I might have to revert that picture. Clearer. You'll see that long process, the white, and then you'll see the tube coming out of the ground, that bright white. And they've got little two black areas around it. So it looks like artificial lighting is there, but it looks very unnatural. There's that object again. I couldn't stop doing this. It's just the things I saw on there were fantastic. Look at that. Look at that lush greenery and what looks like vegetation there. It's just too good. There's that object that seems to be floating. It's like a cloud. It's like an orb cloud we have on Earth. You see it there with the processes? Right next to that hole entrance. That's why it's peculiar. It's right next to that entrance. I think it just comes out of there. Look at that. That appears to be floating rather than to be part of the landscape. One other filter was applied there. This is where I've zoomed in on the entrance of that side tunnel, and it just brings up very little what's in there. The tubular process. Now inside, when I zoom in and apply the auto adjust, you'll see the outline of a square tubular shaped object in there. It's as though there's something built in there or mechanical. It's very hard. I don't think I can bring it up. It will require too much work. That's it. It's bringing something up now. It's very hard to bring up on that one. I'll try it on this one. If I fiddle around on this side rather than use auto, I might be able to do it. It's very difficult. I can see it clearly in a dark room. Here we go. You see the tubes there, then you'll see all of a sudden a straight line. It goes up there at arches and up there. Now, I'm not sure if I can draw something on there. How do I draw? Just let me pause this for a second. Okay, I've got the draw button now. So if you look at that area right there, it's straight. Let's do it again. I'll draw the object out. So we go that way, down, up a little bit, straight, round, that way, up, 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 and then there's a straight line in front of it as well. That's why it looks peculiar. All the others here are just those tubes that go left, right, and center. So that's why I'm sort of thinking I'm on the right target on this one, because it shouldn't. Oops, how have I done that? How did I zoom in like that? I have to pause it. That was the first time I used it, so I got a bit lost there. Now, can you see what I'm seeing? Again, you see the straight, and it goes up, up, and there's obviously things in there. They don't look accidental shapes. I think there's structures in there, but I'll have to try to auto adjust it, whatever. But there we go. We got something in there now. It just seems too many straight lines. There. That's the best I can do. Something's there, but we can't get it up any clearer. I'll have to sit on this one and just... Here we go. Now we got something. This is probably the best one that I've got. At the bottom, you'll see those tubular processes. These go straight up. We might be onto something on this picture. If I can only milk out that extra. Ah, wow. Okay. We might have something here. If I zoom in here, you'll see those tubes on the side. They start to grow up. And inside you'll see like that's straight. So when I see something straight and then go up like that, and then straight again, something's up. That's looking right in that hole or tunnel. See what I mean? There's too many straight things popping up, and all of a sudden there they look rounded and more up and down and curvy, as the original picture showed. But when you look deep into it, there's objects very deep into it. Now, how far can I bring up the shadows and bring this up? That's about it. I can't do anything better. I could adjust the detail, but I think I've picked up some things inside the tunnel, and I can't bring it up anymore. It just shows things there. Now, to actually see what's in there would be spectacular. It's just mind-boggling what could be in there. That's all I can do now. It's the same thing again. It's bringing up inside what I'm trying to look at again. I might get halfway through the sharpening. Can't do much. It's worth the try. Sometimes you get very lucky and you just think magic. Here it is again. We got one other close look at maybe what's in there, and it just looks like too many horizontal lines and vertical lines coming off it. It's as though it's some sort of city in there composed of those tubular things, and to actually get in there it's very tricky. Again, can't do it any clearer. Again, same thing. It's just like all the attempts I do, I can just get to that last stage, and that's about it. It just stops me. Again, you just see the vertical towers and the horizontal processes coming off, and there's one looks like a tree there. This is the entrance to it, so that's what it looks like originally. So I've really zoomed the colours in there, and again you'll see those tubular things that seem to be like a cloud, object. I really don't know what it is. There it is again. They got quite a few colours in them: pinks, blues, greens, everything. There's a landscape shot again of that object. It's like a big tree or something growing there. It's huge. There it is again. Actually, if I enlarge it without altering it, I could get more of an image, but it hasn't worked. There it is. That shows you all the very interesting shapes there, tubes and green shapes, brown shapes. Look at them. They're just coming up. They're beautiful, spectacular, and the lights there as well. These are the objects that look like they've got feet to it or processed. Now, I've seen that in some other pictures, so it looks like I'm on the right path. Now, when I actually zoom in and apply a little bit to the sharpening, I might get some detail out. There it is there. That's what I can do on that one. I don't want to play around anymore with the other half. It's just like there's something there, but I can't zoom in anymore. There it is again. Something there, dark. I can't zoom in. That process looks more like clouds on top of that vegetation. It just seems more like cloud shapes. So that's what I was trying to process that to show. It looks more like clouds rather than objects on top of a jungle. Very thick clouds, same as Earth. See what I mean? They seem to come out of those tunnels or holes. Plenty of lights in this one. It's like a Christmas tree. And you've got the round spheres there and stuff like that. That brought up some colour there, spectacular colours there. Beautiful things. There's that blue area on top of it. So there's that thing that floated out. It looks like it's floating there. And there's that very bizarre blue area. I'm not sure what to make out of that one. Now, something I just saw there, which is that object there. I haven't seen that before, so I'm just trying to work out what it is. That's the object which seems to have tubes come out to a light. See what I mean? And then that object. I don't know what to make out of that one. There it is again. But when you zoom in, you'll see the tubes there and that very bright light. Heaps of bright lights. And some structures there, but I can't get close to it. Something's there. You got those rounded shapes popping up, and there seems to be something tall in there, but here we go. We got something. Some of these shapes are more green tubes. There's something in there, right there. This picture here shows the objects that are growing out there. It's a very good one. That's full of lights. Beautiful. and those tubes coming out all sorts of angles. These objects look like they're floating rather than on the ground. And you have these darker things down the bottom. They look like they got legs to them or crawling processes. I think they crawl. It just doesn't seem like they're plants. There's that huge hole, that object that's floating next to it. There's that object coming up. Goes right up. Wait, there's that rounded thing. Looks more like a glass surrounding and objects in there. So I'm going to spend some time on that one just to see what's in there. It just very strange. It has that round ring around it. Then you got these like plants in there. Got what looks like a little thing in there with like two eyes or two processes to it. See what I mean? Rounded, that little object in there like a tower. Then you got beautiful greens and everything. I'll try to sharpen the image on this. I might get lucky. See what I mean? There's all these very bizarre things. That's a perfect round shape. There's that shape again. Lush green. Lush green and all the lights. That's it.